Hi everyone, welcome to Saturday Noon Live with Tara. As always, it's a pleasure to have you all here. And today we're actually going to have a very special guest joining us. And I'm going to invite her in just a minute once we have more people join. But as always, I'm so sorry I was a couple of minutes late. It was a hectic morning, as I'm sure it is for all of you. Slowly things here in our beautiful city of Mumbai are slowly opening up, with the kids going back to physical school on Monday and starting there. So I hope it all goes smooth and successfully, touch wood, and we started football and other things. So that's been great. And Aniket and hi Kay, hi Monisha, hi Rupak. I see a big heart. That's my husband from the other room or maybe the bathroom. So thank you all so much for joining. I'm going to invite Monisha in about a minute. Monisha is an amazingly inspiring mother, and she's going to talk about her family's battle with a very serious condition that her younger daughter Keya has, called spinal muscular atrophy. It's a really heart-wrenching story, but Monisha is so eloquent and so strong and so brave, as is Keya. And I'm gonna invite them in just a sec. But as you guys know, on Saturday Noon Live, we're live on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram. So hi on YouTube, hi Jyoti, hi everyone on Facebook too. And I'm sorry for the live, the actual guest is only on Instagram. So we will take this video and have an edited version put up on YouTube a little later too. But to begin with, I'm gonna begin right away. We're gonna invite Monisha in, and keep your questions for her. Hi Monisha. Now is that all right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the tech glitches, I tell you, Tara, I don't know how to ever overcome that. So sorry for the teasing.
Not at all.
How are you doing today?
We're fine, thank you. How are you? How's everything? How are your two gorgeous girls?
They are right now on their phones, as I can see them. So they're all tech savvy, Tara. One day I'm going to sit down with you over a cup of coffee and I'm going to tell you all about them. Okay, so a little bit of, secret there, but let's save that for another chat. How are you doing? I totally love your hair, Tara. Let me just tell you that. I love your hair.
That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. Although I must say, and I love yours. I think people have long hair like me are usually quite non-experimental with having a change. So I've never really had the courage to go short. So when I see short, I'm like, wow, it's so cool. So I think it's every bit each to their own with anything, whatever you feel comfortable with. But let's get straight to our conversation, because I have to say I've been so moved by our brief chats and whatever I've read and watched about you and your wonderful daughters. So as I was saying to everyone here on the live, Monisha is a single mom to her two gorgeous kids, and Keya, their younger daughter, has a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, where it's a degenerative condition which is genetic. And it's incredible to see how Monisha and her girls are battling through and giving Keya the best of everything. But now there's finally a drug available that can actually help to elongate her life and to make it more comfortable. So, Monisha, tell us a little bit about Keya and your family. Oops, sorry. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Goel. Hi, Vishal. Sorry, I think Monisha has dropped off again. Oh dear, I think maybe there's an internet issue. This is unfortunate, because I was really looking forward to having this chat, and I know Monisha was too, but let's hope it comes back on in a second. Hi Sudhakanti, we are fine, touch wood. I hope you are too. We're having a conversation with a wonderful mother on Instagram, so do join us there, but I'll also put the whole chat here up on YouTube too. Hi Nawab, hi Yogendra. While we wait for Keya, while we wait for Monisha, I'm going to let me try just one more time to see if this works. I'm so sorry, Monisha. I think your internet is giving you a little bit of issues today, but I think, this is life nowadays. You know what, Monisha, I want you to speak And I should
I'm going to do that. I'm going to quickly speak and I'm going to run away before my Wi-Fi shuts out on me. Okay, so let me do that. So
yeah.
Tara, shoot. Tara, shoot. I'm all yours.
So I want to know, just tell us a little bit about Keya and about your family and what is SMA? What is spinal muscular atrophy?
So Tara, my date, so as to speak, with spinal muscular atrophy started 10 years back. That was when Keya was turning 1 year old, right? And Keya is my youngest daughter, so she was born in the year 2010. Okay, and I'm talking
Yeah.
about the year 2011. I go for my regular pediatric visit, like any other mom, So I was already a first-time mother, had, I thought I had experience of sorts. So I very confidently walked into a big, pediatrician's chamber and I said, Doctor, Keya is very weak, and she's constantly falling, right? Because she just started crawling at that time. So that was my only complaint, that I could visibly see her weakness when she started crawling. And I started doing rounds of the pediatrician, just try to figure out why was she so weak? Why would she fall down every time she was crawling? So anyway, the pediatrician was like, no, Monisha, it's just weakness, improve her diet, add a tonic here and there, so a couple of visits just went by like that. One fine day, I got really bugged because, I was a working mother and it was affecting, my sanity at work. So I walked up to the pediatrician and I said, you know what, please tell me what's wrong with her. Let me know all the tests that needs to be done and let's get to the bottom of this, right? So that's how we actually got into the process of investigation. So we did a whole lot of tests. We did starting from the nerve, the nerve testing to the blood test to the MRI of the brain, everything. I mean, you name it, and we did all of that. So after I think almost about 22 tests, the pediatrician tells me, you know what, you need to consult a neurologist. So we take all the reports, we go into the neurologist chamber, and then we're told that she has something called fibromyalgia. Okay, fibromyalgia is nothing but weakness in your limbs, especially your lower limbs. Okay, so again, they put us into rounds of physiotherapy. So every day we had to cart Keya, take her, do a session. And, I was in Andheri East, we had to go to Kokla Ben. So it was really, really, tiring. So anyway, there was one test that they did not do, and that was the genetic test. So when we probed the doctors further, they said, okay, why don't you go in for the genetic testing and let's rule out what we are really, fearing here. So, it's actually just called a genetic testing. So what happens in that particular test is that both the parents and the child get tested, and there is a check for SMN1 deletion. Okay, so before, I'm no doctor, Tara, so I'm just going to explain in a very lay language. Every human body, right? Every human body has two kinds of genes. There is something called SMN1 and there is an SMN2 gene. SMN1 is responsible for all your motor skills, right? All of us, we have movements in our limbs, right? So there's a signal from the brain that goes down and then it triggers the muscle to move. So the gene responsible for that is an SMN1 gene. The gene that is responsible, for the cognitive, logical, and other sorts of, skills is the SMN2 gene. So when we did the genetic testing, we realized that Keya does not have the SMN1 gene. That gene is deleted, okay, completely from a constitution, and because of that, the disease that gets coined is known as spinal muscular atrophy. Okay, so spinal muscular atrophy is a result of the SMN1 gene deletion, and such children usually have more copies of SMN2 than a regular child. So that is why they are, that much more brainier, they are that much more talented, etc., etc. Okay, so somewhere God has balanced them out in that fashion. So anyway, everything was Greek and Latin, right, at that point of time. So, so we obviously asked as parents, ki, doctor, kya karna hai? What is the prognosis, right? So the doctor says nothing. Monisha, the child is not going to live beyond another year. So just go back. Yeah. So it was a little sad. Yeah. So he just tells us that, that's it. So, there's no known cure in any part of the world. So you guys can, take her home, huddle and cuddle, and spend quality time with her, right? So imagine just being told that flatly on your face, and I'm literally holding Keya in my hands. In fact, that day in the doctor's chamber, my father was with me, not my husband. So it was a little awkward because my father had just lost his youngest son, my youngest brother actually had just passed away a month before. And everything was just happening, everything was happening together. So I just cried for like 3-4 minutes. I had to turn the other side. I didn't want my father to see me breaking down. So I cried for 4 minutes and then I said, fine, let's get the hell out of here. Okay, so we went back home. And since then, Tara, I remember very clearly, that evening, or I think the following evening, I typed out a WhatsApp text and I sent it to all my relatives, friends, colleagues, saying that, guys, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with my youngest daughter from now on. So please don't mind if I don't come for your birthday parties and dinner meetings and, casual get-togethers, etc. Because I realized that I just had that much of time. Right. So that was the first thing that crossed my mind, that, how can I maximize my time with my daughter? And trust me, since then, Tara, it's literally been living day by day with Keya. Okay. Because it was only last year that a drug came out, right? Roche Pharma launched, Risdipam globally, I think in 2019. It came into India in 2020, August. But till such time, there was no cure. There was absolutely nothing that, we as a parent could do. So anyway, it was literally like taking it one day at a time and, maximizing it, right? Literally making every day very, very happy. So, so if anybody asks me today, Monisha, how does it feel to be an SMA parent? I keep telling them that I don't know how to be a normal parent anymore. So if my daughters, and when I say daughters, I mean both my daughters, they get, hurt somewhere while playing, or they get a cough and cold, it just doesn't bother me, right? I'm always checking on Keya's breathing, I'm checking on, her limb movements, I'm checking on the growing weakness in her body, those kind of things which a normal parent would never bother, right? They would in fact encourage the child to constantly go out, fall, get immune, those kind of things. So it's a very difficult ball game altogether, Tara. It's a completely different ball game because this is playing on your mind 24/7, right? And you never know.
What I find fascinating is that Keya is now 11. So when you were told this, and you were told 1 year, how has that not been the case? Because that's just amazing and give hope to so many people, perhaps other people out there who have heard something like this. I mean, the only thing, I tend to think doctors are like gods, and we look up to them because they can help when things are really bad. But I know for my father, when he had emphysema, his doctor initially had said 1 year, but together they did actually make it 11 eventually. So considering you did not have very sure, how did you do it? Because
I'll tell you what, the kind of tuning, the mental tuning that I had was, I heard the doctors enough, right? 10 years back. And when they said they could not do anything, that actually shut the door, right, on my face. They actually shut the door on my face and said that that's all that they could tell me. So at the end of the day, there were two choices, right? One is I could treat Keya as a lab rat to all the experimental drugs and various other things. Right. Or the other option I had was to not get dependent on what the doctors told me henceforth about her, right? So I did a lot of research, as any SMA parent would do. So I figured that, such children needed three things. They needed a very high level of immunity. They needed a very high level of nutrition, and they needed to be constantly kept on some physical form of activity, some social form of activity or the other, right? So that's how we maintained Keya. In fact, Keya had, a speech issue when she was 2, 3, 4 years old. She was not picking up speech, right? And that made me worry a lot more, because I thought, oh my God, she should not then lose her voice too, right? She's already got a physically weak constitution. So, basis the initial suggestions, I put her in a special school because everybody said she's a special child, requires special attention. And I remember Dr. Nirupama Rao in Powai, when she had a institution for special children, very well managed. But when I enrolled Keya there, after 6 months, she called me and she said, Monisha, you know what? This girl is brilliant. You don't have to put her in a special school. Please go to a regular school and enroll her there. And I remember walking into Hiranandani Foundation School, talking to Mrs. Kalyani Patnaik and telling her, okay, ma'am, please give her a chance, right? I know the school is not physically equipped to take children on a wheelchair, etc. But I will support her in whichever way, right? So we'll give a shadow maid. Nobody else has to do anything. Actually got the admission, right? It was literally like begging and pleading them for six months. And then when she started doing really well in her studies, initially was the week period, right? Because she had to take time to kind of get over the speech hurdle. But when she started, Tara, there was no stopping her. Okay, so today she's like a flower with all her friends hovering around her like bees in the school. Okay, so she's very, very fond of socializing. She makes friends very easily. She's a ranker in the school. She paints and draws and sings and dances, and she tells me, Mama, I want to take part in sports drills and everything. So there's no stopping her at all. No stopping her. And I think I've sort of enjoyed being SMA parent, very honestly speaking. Very, very honestly.
That's amazing. I'm going to just for 1 second, because we also have you on YouTube and on Facebook, but they can't see you. So I'm just going to tell all my viewers on YouTube and Facebook that we'll be putting this live chat in an edited version up on YouTube and on Facebook. And I'm so sorry, Manish, 9797, Karan Gaming, Pratim, everyone on YouTube that you can't see our lovely guests. But I'm going to say bye on YouTube and Facebook, because I will be putting this up on Insta, and I don't want this to be half done on YouTube and Facebook. So this will come up on the channel, and I'm going to get back to the Insta chat so that we don't lose out on this. So tell me now about, I believe she's also recently been diagnosed with kyphoscoliosis. What exactly is that?
So Tara, it's not recent. It's not recent. So let's try and understand why this happens, because it happens in practically all SMA children. So like I was telling you, SMA stands for Spinal Muscular Atrophy, right? So atrophy is nothing but a progressive degenerative condition. And because you have practically all your muscles around in your body losing its strength bit by bit over the years, right? Because of the gene deletion, what happens is the spine, which is your main core of the body, it's unable to hold itself straight, erect, right? Because the surrounding muscles become flaccid, become useless, right? So over the years, such children develop, first it's called scoliosis, which is nothing but, curvature of the spine. It can be unidirectional, it can be either lateral or it can be front and back. But when you have both, right, when your spine starts rotating, just imagine it rotate, right? And it sounds painful, and it is very painful. It's known as kyphoscoliosis. So Keya's kyphoscoliosis set in. She had scoliosis from the age of 3. So we put her on braces, and we did, we tried to improve the physiotherapy, because kya karna hai? There was no drug, right? There was no cure. So all we could do was strengthen her muscles, which were dying over the period of time. So the scoliosis worsened over a period of time, because she went to regular school. She was sitting on a wheelchair throughout the day, balancing it out with some amount of rest. But such children, no matter how much you do for them, this condition sets in. There's nothing that can be done about it. And kyphoscoliosis is the severest form of scoliosis, right? That's when the spine really starts rotating, your rib cage turns inside you, your pelvic girdle shifts. Today she has a dislocated, right side hip joint. She has, tightening of her nerves in the body, so she's developed frozen joints called contractures. Her right lung is compressed because the rib cage has turned in that direction. So if you ask me, it's a very atrocious situation. Okay, this is something that even surgically, doctors are not sure whether they can correct it completely. That's what I've been told bluntly on my face. But if we do not do any surgical correction, then obviously she gets bedridden, and her lung function will keep sort of deteriorating over a period of time, and obviously we lose her. So I actually came back into Bombay after a good 7 years, and I had just come here for 2 weeks. Kids had a winter break. I was parked in my hometown in Visakhapatnam because of the pandemic. Earlier to that, these 7 years I was in Bangalore working. So anyway, this whole trip turned out to be like a complete whirlwind, because when we came here and we did the routine checkup after almost 1.5 years, thanks to the pandemic, we figured that everything was wrong in her body. Right now, she's got kidney stones, she's got severe osteoporosis, she's got something called obstructive sleep apnea, which means that her adenoid glands in her neck, because of the twisted spine, they have started blocking her airway. So it's a mess. It's a mess. So now we're talking about four kinds of surgeries. It could be staggered, it could be put together, but the mother of all is going to be the spine. Unfortunately, for such children, their lungs cannot support an anesthesia. Okay, so there is a 25% chance that she might not come out of the OT because of that, not because of the unsuccessful nature of the surgery, but just because her lungs might not be capable of being under anesthesia for such a long time, right? So doctors really have to battle against time. So takes me back again to that day, when I was in the doctor's chambers and the doctors had told me, Monisha, you just have 1 year time, okay, 1 year of time with this child. And I was, I have been very nostalgic of that day since I finished this recent routine checkup. And I keep telling myself that if I could fortify myself back then, right, I can do it all over again right now. And I should, right? Because Keya is today a very conscious human being. She's not a toddler. She's not even an infant anymore. She completely understands her condition. She's probably fought more battles than anybody I know on this planet, because she's been fighting a battle every single day, right? For simple things like picking up a pen.
It is unbelievable, and her strength and her resilience. I mean, hearing this from you, and how do you have this incredible strength and the practical way in which you're speaking? It's so incredible. And I have to say, when I spoke to you for the first time, I was talking to you and I was on speaker, and our younger son, who's 10, was sitting there, and you spoke when I told the kids about your story and about Keya, and because I always tell them about people I'm going to speak to on my show and on my live. He couldn't believe it, because he said, but she was so strong, Mama. She sounded so completely fine, And I must say that it's unbelievably amazing, because it gives so much strength to people. And this is where I think when I started the show as a way to bring about positive change, apart from sharing stories, it's also about people realizing they're not alone, and that one can derive strength from how people handle situations. And everyone is different, each to their own, I always say, and not everyone may have the kind of strength that you have. But for people to watch how you're doing wonderful things with your kids, they're having a great time. I mean, I watched videos of Keya speaking, and I have to say it made me teary, because she was just so amazing and so normal in every way. And that's exactly, I spoke to a very dear friend who has a child who has some special needs, and we were talking about how everyone has some special needs in some way, and some are more than others, but everyone's normal in their own way. And I think that, to me, you really you epitomize that, because you're living a normal life within this very difficult situation. And I think that just brings out so much strength within all of you. And I'm sure you have your normal experiences of laughing and playing and fighting and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
so we are 3 women.
Yeah.
Tara, we are 3 women. Okay, so we are, you can imagine, like saas bahu ki nahi banti hai, right? So I and my 2 daughters. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's just about me and Keya. Today, if anybody wants to know where the superpower or the lithium batteries lie, right? So it's sort of I would say a very very conducive environment that we have at home. It's me, Naira, and Keya, right? So Naira is my support system. I am Keya's support system, and that's how it works. So my elder daughter is quite a sponge, and she's the one who completely slaps me down and says, "Ki, Mom, you're getting too hyper, too emotional at times, calm down, and, we can figure this out." And Kia is like our boss, okay? She's like the boss lady. She will sit on her wheelchair and she will steer us around like nobody can. Okay, so that's how it works. And I think we've all devised a way, Tara. And it's not about strength. I think we started enjoying the journey. So when you start enjoying a journey, you don't find that struggle anymore. Because see, there's certain things you have to do every day, right? I have to pick up Kia and take her to the bathroom. I have to lift her from the bed and put her on the chair so that she can attend her school, or she can sit down and have her meals, etc. So ye to karna hi hai. I mean, there's just no two ways about it, right? It's just like going out and doing, let's say, a 9 to 5 job, right? So if you're getting gratification out of it, why will anybody complain? And it's my own daughter, right, at the end of it. So I don't think it's about strength only. I think if you get into my mind, and look at the way that I look at things, I don't have an option. I just don't have an option, right? So the only option that God left me with is, sweetheart, you better enjoy this or let it break you, right? So we are a bunch of bent people, but not broken yet. That's what I keep telling everyone, in a very short and sweet way. Ki chalti ka naam hai gaadi, right? So we're moving along, and solutions keep working out for themselves. So
No, I think this is so heartwarming. And when I say strength, I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head that, within everyone's situation and circumstance, you have to make the best of things in life. And some people are able to do that better than others. I'm sure there are moments when things are really hard. And obviously, I'm sure there are moments when you're like, why me? Why did this happen? Or, but perhaps you've overcome all that. And,
yeah.
you're seeing actually how, as you said, how amazing it is, and perhaps how lucky you are to have, your situation. And I know when on the Tara Sharma show, we had a wonderful family, Pooja, Nora, and Vivek, and their daughter has Down syndrome. And she actually calls herself one of the lucky few. She says how she feels that she's been blessed to have this and to learn so much from the situation, and of course a gorgeous daughter. So nothing takes away from that the bond between parents and kids, whatever the situation, is unbelievable. Now, but let's come to the wonderful ray of hope that, as you mentioned, has come up just year before last, about a new treatment that could actually, would it be able to actually cure, or would it be able to elongate life and make it more comfortable? Tell us a little bit about this new medicine.
So what we have been counseled, Tara, about the drug is that, see, there is still no 100% cure for SMA. Okay, so what risdiplam does today is it arrests the disease.
Right.
Okay, it tries to arrest the disease, and because it is trying to arrest the disease and not reverse the disease, you have to keep taking this oral medication for the rest of your life if you start out on it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like an 80 ml bottle, like a
Right.
little 20 ml less than a bottle of Crocin.
Okay.
Kia needs 6.6 ml every single day at a fixed time, and she needs this for the rest of her life, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately is a very understated word, underrated word. The cost of this one bottle is 6.25 lakhs.
Oh my
And she
God.
needs like 30 such bottles a year. Okay. But let me tell you the bright side of the whole thing, right? So when I was informed, when I got counseled about the cure, obviously I was shitting bricks in my pant. Okay. So I was like, dude, I don't, remember a number close to this figure that I was earning in my last job. Okay. And I'm a single parent. So, we were trying to manage it, whatever I could do. But when somebody comes and says, "Ki, man, the cost of your treatment, child's treatment is going to be 2.25 CR," I'm like, hello, why do you even want to tell me about it? I'm better off not knowing about the cure, right? But then the wonderful things that a few people have done, and I have to make a mention of this. So we have today, since the last 7, 8 years, a very formally organized, institution or an organization called Cure SMA India Foundation.
Right.
There is a Cure SMA Foundation, even outside India. If you Google, you'll find there is one in US and in different parts of the world. So it's basically a parent-led community of SMA children, right? And these parents have come together, and there are about 7, co-founders and trustees, very, very strong women. And if you think I'm strong, Tara, I have to get them on the show for you, okay? For you to really come across women with grit, determination, so much so that while they are dealing with their own children's, own child's, SMA treatment and condition, they are actually out there helping other SMA parents like me, right? And hats off to these guys, seriously. So there is Alpana Sharma, there's Archana Pandey, there is Momita Ghosh, Anjana, and I can just go on and on. And every single member, has that strength and determination, so much so that they were able to, talk to the pharma company, which is Roche Pharma, get the cost down to 1/3, so that it became an accessible treatment. In fact, Roche Pharma is the only pharmaceutical company which has launched an SMA drug in India. It wasn't the first drug. The first drug was Spinraza by Biogen, which got launched a couple of years back, but had a lot of adverse effects. So I never went into Spinraza treatment with Keya. The next one was Zolgen SMA, which everybody would have heard, the 16 crore injection that patients like baby Tira Kamath and the others have got in India. That was by Novartis, but Novartis did not launch the drug in India. So if anybody has type 1 SMA, and again, SMAs are 4 types, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, with type 1 being the most severe. So, they have to import this injection for type 1 children, right? And it is a very, very difficult process because, you have import duties, taxation issues, etc., etc. But because of Cure SMA India Foundation and Roche Pharma collaborations, these guys have been able to get Risdipam launched in India, so much so that today I get it delivered at my doorstep, Tara. Okay, wow. It is that convenient. Yes, jugaad karna padta hai. We have to get the money, we have to fundraise, because unfortunately that's the only option that parents like us have, right? No matter whether you're from a poorer background or from a middle class background that I come from, it is unaffordable, right? Imagine coughing up 60 to 80, 90 lakhs a year, right? And this is for the lifetime. So how much can you go on, spending out of your savings or selling your property and jewelry, etc.? It doesn't work. So what the government allows us today to do is crowdfund to raise the money for such children. And we are, in fact, the whole foundation is working with the PMO's office today, with the finance minister, to actually get a GST waiver. Okay, the file actually lies on.
Does the government help? Because I know that there are various treatments when they are lifelong, including for cancer and other things where there are government.
Unfortunately, Tara, what has happened with SMA is, though it is not a rare disease, so as to speak, because how are SMA children born? Okay, so let me take you back a step. Every 1 in 40 human beings on the planet are SMA carriers. Okay, so you could be an SMA carrier. I am an SMA carrier. But when two SMA carriers get married and they, or forget about get married, when they conjugate, okay, and they have a child, there is a 25% of the child being born with SMA. It's not a rare disease. Unfortunately, it's been classified as a rare disease. Okay, because it occurs only apparently 1 in 8,000 children across the world, which I still think is a very high frequency, onset.
Absolutely.
Exactly, but because it is classified as a rare disease, the government today needs to, and we don't have a national, rare disease health policy in the country. We don't have it, unlike many other countries where, such treatments are handed down free of cost to the patients. In our country, we don't have one yet. I know that the government is working on it, but thanks to so many other issues, we have poverty, we have pandemic, we have child education, rural upliftment. Such children are being sidelined at the point of, at this point of time. So my prayer to, whoever is listening, if there are any policy changes who are going to be listening to this show at the end of the day, I would just like to say one thing with all my submission is that, see, these children are born perfectly all right in their mind, right? They are not like children who are affected, in their upper half, where they do not understand what's happening with the rest of the body. Now, imagine a completely conscious child, right, up here, knowing that neck down, she's losing her power, right? You can think of the mental health issues and they can face it, right? Because it's not just physical health. Such kids require a lot of psychosocial counseling every step of the way, because they have to understand, how to deal with it right here along with the families. And unfortunately, in the Indian society, such children are looked down upon as a curse in the family, somebody who's a burden, and God forbid if it's a girl child, right, who's down with SMA. So my only prayer to the policymakers or to movers and shakers or to influencers, whoever is listening, is that, guys, think of yourself in that position, right? Think of yourself. Don't just think of it as a rare disease. Think of yourself being completely conscious and losing your ability day in and day out, plus dealing with all these, issues that society throws at you and your families, right? If you are the patient. Imagine, trying to knock on a educational institution, right? Door of an educational institution and saying, "Mujhe aap admission dijiye. I'm really good in studies, but sorry, I can't walk." And the school will say, "Oh, we don't have ramps and we don't have lifts, so we can't give you admission." And they have a hurdle everywhere. There are simple things. I have been, living in rented accommodation, right? When I went to Bangalore and I was working, I had to look for, apartments with wider corridors, apartments with ramps, apartments with, bigger lifts where a wheelchair could go in with two people. Simple things, right? Our country is not, let's just call it handicap friendly at all. I went to Singapore, I went to a couple of other countries where I saw, the pavements also had, ramps and slopes. But हमारे यहाँ पे तो सब कुछ खुदा हुआ है. I can't even take my daughter out. If I had to take her down in my building, put her in a, damn car, drive around and just come back, because I wouldn't know which place I can comfortably move around with her in. So for me, it's like going and doing a recce first, whether it's a restaurant or it's a mall or, whatever it is, it's a park. First, I have to go and visit it, understand whether the parameters work for Keya, and then come back home and then step out with her. How much of planning can a human being do, Tara, at the end of the day?
No, so I think you hit the nail on the head that while, of course, at a personal level, we all have to try and do what we can to help you. And I know you're running a very professional and wonderful fundraising campaign, crowdfunding campaign, and I've seen Ritesh and Imran Hashmi and various people do videos for you to try and raise funds. While that is your, for you, which I think is amazing for Keya, I think at a policy level, absolutely, I think so much needs to be done to help people with special needs. We're getting there, I do think. I'm an optimist. I tend to think that we talk a lot more about inclusion than we did when we were kids. I find like in our children's school, for example, there's a huge push for inclusion. So we do have children with special needs. Again, it's not enough at all. But I do find that hopefully things are moving in that direction. I can honestly say some of my most moving chats on the Tara Sharma Show have been with people who have special needs or with children with special needs, and I do feel that people really want to help and sometimes they don't know how. So for everybody who's watching, and when we put this up on YouTube and Facebook, we'll share the link for the fundraising for
Thank
fundraising.
you.
So please do help. Personally, I have to say I'm not very good at fundraising. I find it tremendously difficult to ask people for money. So I
I've
know
never done it in my
how
entire
hard it
life,
must
Tara.
be
I've
for you.
never,
I know how hard it
I've
must be
never
for
done
you.
it.
But I think, hearing stories like yours, it makes it so clear that we have to do what we can to help. This could be anyone. As you rightly said, God forbid, it could be anyone. It's not that it's, oh, somebody somewhere far and it can't ever, you know what I mean? So I think, this is where in all our capacities, we really need to help each other. So I really hope that you manage to get that funding and you manage to give Keya the medication that will really hopefully cure her completely. So on a closing note, because this ends in like 45 minutes or 50 minutes, I just wanted to like I wanted to know on a personal level for you, because while of course Keya is the center, I'm sure of all of your world, and I believe she's gonna be fine. Touch wood.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
Tell
absolutely.
me a little bit about the rest of the family in terms of, like you mentioned, your older daughter is a huge support to you. And I'm sure they adore each other as siblings. But tell me a little bit about your other daughter and your husband, and how did that whole, you're a single mom. So how was that? Must have been very hard, because not to have somebody sort of beside you through this. How have you managed all that? Because now you can't be so modest and say you're not strong, because that takes a huge amount of strength
Yeah.
to do this on your own as well. So how did everyone react, and how do you balance it out? Because at the end of the day, as you said, within your normal, you have to be normal, right? So, siblings can fight, siblings can feel resentment. There can be moments when maybe one daughter feels the other gets too much attention, or the other way around. How do you handle that
Yes.
side of things?
Very poorly. Very poorly. So I'm more like so whenever there is a World War 4 or 5 or 6 at home, I'm usually a sit back mom and I let it solve itself out. And when it gets out of control, I'm usually, my decibel levels are really hitting the ceiling. So I'm very poor on that front. But most of the time the girls sort it out. Okay. So they are like absolute natural born siblings and they behave normally, right? So there's no sympathy whatsoever, okay, that one has for the other. In fact, though Keya doesn't have the strength to slap or hit or punch back, she tries her best, okay, and whatever she does is enough. So I think it's good fun watching the two of them, because whenever I think of a frame, Tara, where one is missing, I don't think that picture will ever be complete for us, if you know what I'm saying. And today the family frame has only three faces, right? So it's me, Naira, and Keya, and that's it. And we're a happy family. So even if I say that I'm a single mom, I'm in fact all the time very proudly saying that, because whatever's happened in my married life, I have absolutely uh, no grievance whatsoever. I don't have any regrets. Fortunately, unfortunately, my husband was also my very good friend in college. We studied together. We got married after a long period of friendship. In fact, I was the one who never wanted to get married. Okay, so I think, a little ahead of my time back then, and I never believed in the whole institution of marriage. Okay, I belong to that school of thought. Unfortunately for him, his family, they were a bit orthodox, so they said, "Ki nahi, nahi, that doesn't work with us." So I remember, though my family didn't agree, I went ahead and got married to him, and I stood all by myself. Okay, I remember shopping for two saris and one. वो जूड़ा कहते हैं ना, because I had short hair, so I bought one juda and two saris, and I marched in and I said, okay, let's get married. So it was quite a circus. I kind of enjoyed the whole function, laughed my lungs out, and then we were back to normal, being friends. But as and how the years passed, we had children. Both of us are architects. We had the same launch pad. So we were both working, and thanks to no support from both the families, we had nothing when we started out. As means, right? So we had to work and we had to put things together. So till I think till Keya was diagnosed, everything was fine. In fact, Naira went to a daycare for 4 years, so she didn't give us any stress whatsoever. But the moment the diagnosis happened with Keya and we were asked to keep her at home, it just meant that one of us had to be at home, right? And I think we were unfortunately in that stage where Tara, again I keep saying it's a middle class family, right? We had a home loan, we had car loans, whatnot. So we had to do a math. I remember sitting on the Excel sheet with my husband, one fine evening after coming back, from Kokilabhen Hospital after Keya was diagnosed. And we were just working out the math, okay, you earn so much, I earn so much, we have so much of payout. So what do we do? How do we make it work? And then it just fitted it into my salary. It didn't fit into his. It was as unfortunate as that, So for us, decision making was at a very, very practical level at that point of time because we didn't know for how long we had to live like this. And doctors told us 1 year, right? So 1 year was manageable. When if that is how it was going to be, then it was going to be manageable. But then, my husband's family didn't take it very positively because for them, it was like the wife is going out, whereas the wife is supposed to be supporting the husband. So what happened there, right? You're supposed to be behind the husband, supporting and encouraging them. But they never realized that if there was a shortfall, there was nobody in the family to pay up for us, right? We had to pay our own bills at the end of the day. So anyway, all Gyan and all that social, stigma, whatever we faced, I just put my ear flaps on and I told my husband as well, see, either we listen to what everybody else is saying, and society always means your near and dear ones, okay? For me, society is equal to that. I don't think anybody beyond that is society because that's just a farce. So try to play it level-headed. I remained level-headed. Unfortunately, my husband lost, his mental sort of stamina. He succumbed. So again, there's this gray area, right? People don't understand mental health in our country. So they don't realize that when you have such situations in the family that the entire family is suffering, okay? And we may not be suffering physically, but we do suffer from trauma and, the impact of what is happening to the other members of the family, resulting in XYZ medical, mental health issues, right? And it's so not okay to take an appointment of a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist and go get a counseling done because it's considered, "Arey, aap to pagal doctor ke paas ja rahe ho," right? So no matter how much I tried convincing my husband ki let's go counsel, he would say no because of the stigma again, ki what will people say that we're counseling for mental health. So any which way, the point, the story ended there. I actually wanted to retain my mental health, which I hadn't lost, though it killed me every day to leave Keya behind and go to work, Tara. Okay, so I kind of held on because I knew that that's all I had, I had in me back then. I only had mental strength, right? And I could not sacrifice it because I had 4 people who were depending on me at that point of time. So one day we sat down and we said, you know what, just let's end it here because if we are not going to solve this as a problem should be solved, let's just live separately, okay, till this whole thing is over because otherwise we're just going to be probably more than one person dying in the house, right? And that didn't make sense. So it had, there was shit flying all over the place at that point of time, very unhappy phase. Kids were unhappy because, when parents are grumbling all the time, it's not a happy situation. But ever since then, Tara, it's been honeymoon for me. As a single parent, I've actually enjoyed myself, if you ask me, because I never had to go back and take anybody's permission or worry about anybody in the so-called society saying XYZ things to me because I had my ear flaps on. I care a damn about what anybody was going to say because nobody is paying my bills.
Yeah. But does he support you, whether emotionally or is he in touch with the kids or how is that?
No, Tara, for 7 years, there was absolute silence, absolute silence. In fact, we had a couple of, legal battles that we had initiated against each other. Don't ask me why, and I will never get into the details for that. But, after Keya's onset with this level of, condition, because she's literally hanging by the thread today, and I have come to Bombay, so we have gotten back in touch with each other and decided to just stay by her side giving her the strength and the peace, right? So we are standing next to each other. I don't get any emotional support from him, but he gives a lot of support physically by just taking us around and other things, because at the end of the day, that poor fellow has suffered too, right? I can't ignore that.
Yeah.
So he's there whenever we need him. Because of the COVID situation, I could not. It's very difficult managing Keya alone physically, because I'm a very small built person. So my husband's been around taking us to the doctors and doing whatever it takes. Yeah. Unfortunately, neither of us are financially sound. So I have been out of job circulation for 2 years now, and but even my husband's career hasn't taken off in the last 7 years. So that's that unfortunately the bank balance side of the story. So, but I think money comes secondary, Tara. Everything else falls in place. Even with or without money is what my belief is, right? So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. In short.
I really am, and I think, I could go on and on chatting, because you firstly are so eloquent and you're so practical, and I always think that while, yes, not many people may completely know much about SMA, or it's actually also representative of so much, right? In life, there can be situations where it seems like there's no solution, and you have to plow on and find a way. And clearly, from 1 year to now, 10 years, and hopefully a long, long, long more time, you've really done what was perhaps unimaginable before. So touch wood, for Keya to be fine, and for all of you, Naira, for all of you to be happy and healthy and safe. And really, I keep saying, for all of us to stay happy, healthy, safe, and that's the most important thing, touch wood, much more than monetary or anything else. But there's no doubt that money helps. So let's hope that it works out and that you raise funds. So please, guys, please click on the link that I'll be sharing. Thank you so much, Monisha. This was
Thank you, Tara. It was brilliant chatting with you. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Really lovely. I'm going to
thank you so much for the
space,
and thank you, viewers, for watching this. Yeah, thank you so much.
There's so many comments saying, "Oh my gosh, you are such a strong woman." Then I've got all kinds of comments here, which I've been seeing coming on, and loads of people joining in. And my dear friend Ami, I saw her there too, and really amazing. So thank you so much, Monisha. Really a pleasure speaking to you. Bye. Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye. And as we usually go live with 3 people, I'm going to quickly do that. But then I'm going to have to shut this, because I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose this chat. So I think today I'm not actually going to go live with more people, because I don't want to lose this chat. So please do check out the link I'm going to share, where you can donate, and let's all do what we can to help amazing Keya and her wonderful sister and mom. Thank you for joining. Ta-ra, ta-ra, ta-ra.